Hi everyone, and welcome back to this step-by-step tutorial on full body motion capture in Unreal Engine 5.6 and 5.7 using Offworld Live's latest fork of the VRM4U plugin as well as XR Animator. Since a lot of you have asked about our 5.6 and 5.7 upgrade for the VTUBER workflow, we have spent some time creating a fork of the original VRM4U plugin that now extends functionality to work with VRM avatars, MetaHumans, DAS, and custom rigs. So step one, head over to the link in the description below and download our Unreal Engine plugin fork. So here, once you're on our fork, we've also created our own wiki, which you can see what we added, some new features, quick links, resources, so on and so forth. If you click into installation, you'll see that we actually support all the kind of Unreal versions up to 5.6, but there's actually a way to also get this started on 5.7, which I'll show you quickly. All you need to do is download the latest release from our fork and create your own project. We'll be extracting the plugin, navigating to your project folder and creating a plugin folder there if it doesn't exist, and you'll be extracting the downloaded VRM4U zip into the plugins folder as seen here. As I've mentioned, you can also use this fork on a 5.7 project. It's actually really easy. If you're using 5.7, you will need to create a C++ project. So if you're using a C++ project, all you need to do is right-click on your U project file and select Generate Visual Studio Project Files, and you'll have to wait for the process to complete. And then going into Visual Studio, you'll have to open the generated.sln file, and on the top right corner, click Build and Rebuild Solution. Once the build is complete, it might take several minutes, you'll be able to launch the project and it should all work. If you've encountered this error while generating the Visual Studio file, then go into your plugins folder to delete binaries as well as intermediates folder, just to make sure you can generate the Visual Studio and rebuild the solution again. So next, you'll also need to download XR Animator from GitHub. The link is also in the description below as well. Once you unzip XR Animator, just look for the electron.exe file. We'll need it for later. As you're now able to open your project either in 5.6 or 5.7, you will also need to make sure to enable these following plugins. So first of all, we have the VRM4U plugin. We also might need LiveLink and OSC. And if you're prompted, just remember to restart the engine. So now go ahead and launch XR Animator by running the electron.exe file. This is what captures your body using Google's pose model media pipe, and it streams it to Unreal in real time using the VMC protocol. So there are no markers or suits needed. In my Unreal project here, I've created a demo level. In this level, you'll see pre-configured examples using VRM, Mixamo, MetaHuman, and DAS rigs, all set up with the new VRM VMC node. So I'm just going to press play here, and you'll see that the movements are now driving the character.
If you want to add motion capture to your own custom skeletons, let's go step by step. I'm here going to demonstrate an example using just a Mixamo character. So first, you'll have to import your Mixamo character. Once it's imported, in the content browser, I would go to the Mixamo example and go into Mixamo folder. And if you filter by VRM meta object, you'll be able to see this item over here. Duplicate one or create a new one, and drag it into a clean folder right next to your new skeletal mesh. Now open the meta object, and in the details panel you'll have to set your target skeletal mesh and skeleton type. So here I've selected the skeletal mesh that I've just imported and skeleton type. For this you can click Auto or manually choose between VRM, MetaHuman, Mixamo, DAZ, and other. So for this, because it is a Mixamo rigged character, I've chosen Mixamo here, but you can also go for Auto. So now click Auto Populate to now automatically map all the bones. Here you'll see that all the kind of bone names are matched to VRM bone names so that we can easily do bone retargeting. If you have any specific or custom rigs that aren't matched right away, you can use custom overrides to fine-tune if needed. Save and rename this meta object and make sure to also create an animation blueprint for the character. Created an animation blueprint, ABP_test character. In your anim graph, I first started with an input pose, so it always has a starting point, and then I unchecked context sensitive to find the VRM VMC nodes. Specific animation node is a really useful upgrade from VRM4U. So we've extended and expanded on this node to allow for different skeletal meshes to use this. So once this is dragged in the details panel, assign the meta object you've just created and connect the pose pins. You might have to make extra adjustments to the settings of VRM's VMC node depending on your skeleton. For Mixamo, I've had to double check the ignore local rotation to avoid any confusion on orientation. For MetaHumans, the process is very similar. However, you might want to make a few extra transforms by modifying the animation blueprint with either a control rig or directly some transform bone nodes. So here you can see an example of the control rig that I've already created that helps turn the MetaHuman into T-pose for proper bone retargeting. So just have a look at the example in the test project and you should be able to follow through. Finally, you can adjust performance because I know that with a model as heavy as MediaPipe, you'll need good performance in the VRM VMC to work perfectly. So in the VRM VMC node, you can choose from performance mode, balanced, streaming, adaptive, or custom. So these range from 30 FPS up to 120 FPS, but for me, I'm just using performance mode because I'm on a lower end system. And that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. Happy mocapping and hoping to see you share your results on Discord.